Chapter 1. The Secret Garden. As the sun began to set over the rolling hills, a group of children were exploring the woods on the outskirts of their small town. They had heard whispers of a magical garden deep within the forest, and their curiosity had led them here. As they followed a winding path through the trees, they soon stumbled upon a clearing unlike any they had seen before. In the center of the clearing was a massive gate made of twisted vines and sparkling jewels. Above the gate was a sign that read, "Welcome to Gabe's Garden." The children pushed open the gate, and to their amazement, they found themselves standing in a lush, sprawling garden filled with towering plants and oversized fruits and vegetables. Suddenly, a voice boomed out from behind a nearby bush. "Welcome, young ones, to my garden!" The children jumped in surprise, but soon realized the voice belonged to a friendly giant named Gabe. He emerged from the bushes, towering over the children and smiling warmly. Gabe welcomed them to his secret garden and began to tell them stories about each unique plant and how they came to be. The children were mesmerized by his tales, and they spent hours exploring the garden and marveling at the wonders around them. As the day turned to night, the children realized it was time to head home. Gabe waved goodbye, promising to show them more of his garden the next time they visited. As they walked back through the forest, the children felt grateful for the amazing experience they had just had. They couldn't wait to return to Gabe's garden and see what other secrets it held. Chapter 2. Exploring the enormous vegetables. The following day, the group of children returned to Gabe's garden, eager to explore more of its wonders. Gabe greeted them with a warm smile and took them on a tour of the garden. He showed them towering stalks of corn that reached up to the sky and massive pumpkins that looked like they could weigh as much as a car. The children were amazed at the sheer size of the vegetables and couldn't help but giggle as they compared the giant tomatoes to beach balls. Gabe then led the group to a patch of carrots that were so long they could barely see the tops of them. He encouraged the children to pick a few for themselves and showed them how to gently pull them out of the ground without damaging them. As they continued to explore, the children saw rows of lettuce as big as swimming pools and cabbages as wide as houses. Gabe told them stories about the history and uses of each plant, and the children listened with rapt attention. As the day drew to a close, the children bid Gabe farewell and promised to return soon to explore more of his amazing garden. They left feeling grateful for the incredible experience and excited to see what other wonders Gabe's garden had in store for them. Chapter 3. The Tale of the Talking Tomatoes and the Incredible Melon Maze. On their next visit to Gabe's garden, the children were in for a special treat. Gabe led them to a section of the garden where the tomatoes were ripe and ready to be picked. As they approached the tomato plants, the children heard a faint whispering sound. To their amazement, they realized that the tomatoes were talking to each other. The children couldn't believe their ears and were eager to hear what the tomatoes had to say. The tomatoes told them stories about their adventures in the garden, from dodging hungry caterpillars to watching the stars at night. The children laughed and listened in amazement, enchanted by the tales of the talking tomatoes. After spending time with the chatty tomatoes, Gabe led the children to an incredible melon maze. The maze was filled with towering walls of green vines and sweet-smelling melons. Gabe challenged the children to find their way to the center of the maze, where they would find a surprise waiting for them. The children eagerly accepted the challenge and set off into the maze, their excitement growing with every twist and turn. After what felt like hours, they finally reached the center of the maze, where they found a giant watermelon waiting for them. Gabe sliced it open with his trusty knife, and the children dug into the sweet, juicy fruit, their faces smeared with watermelon juice. As they left Gabe's garden that day, the children couldn't help but feel grateful for the magical experiences they had shared with their new friend. They knew they would be back soon to explore more of the incredible wonders of Gabe's garden. Chapter 4. A Tragic Accident. On their next visit to Gabe's garden, the children were shocked to see that the beautiful garden they had come to love was in disarray. The once tidy rows of plants were now trampled, and many of the vegetables were destroyed. Gabe met them with a sad expression on his face and told them about a tragic accident that had occurred the night before. A group of wild animals had snuck into the garden, attracted by the scent of the ripe fruits and vegetables. They had rampaged through the garden, causing havoc and destruction. The children were heartbroken at the sight of the damaged garden and wanted to help in any way they could. Gabe showed them how to identify which plants could still be saved and which were beyond repair. They spent the day working alongside Gabe, clearing away debris and salvaging what they could. Despite their best efforts, some of the plants were too damaged to be saved, and the children couldn't help but feel a sense of loss as they worked. Gabe comforted them, reminding them that even in the face of tragedy, the garden would eventually regrow and flourish once again. As the children left Gabe's garden that day, they felt a newfound appreciation for the fragility and beauty of the natural world. They knew that they had learned a valuable lesson about the power of nature and the importance of protecting it. Chapter 5. Gabe teaches the importance of caring for the earth. In the aftermath of the tragic accident, Gabe the giant took the children on a walk through the nearby woods. As they walked, Gabe talked to them about the importance of caring for the earth and all of its inhabitants. He told them about how every living thing is connected and how the actions of one species can have a profound impact on the entire ecosystem. He showed them examples of how pollution and deforestation were harming the planet and explained how humans could work to reverse the damage. The children were amazed by Gabe's wisdom and knowledge, and they asked him many questions about how they could help. Gabe told them about the importance of recycling, conserving water and energy, and reducing their carbon footprint. He also showed them how they could help by planting their own gardens and supporting local farmers who use sustainable farming practices. The children listened intently and promised to do their part to protect the earth. As they walked back to Gabe's garden, the children felt a sense of purpose and responsibility. They knew that they could make a difference in the world, and they were excited to start making positive changes in their own lives and communities. Chapter 6. Gabe's Forgiveness. Despite the tragic accident in his garden, Gabe the giant was a forgiving soul. He knew that accidents happen and that the children had not intended to cause any harm. Instead of being angry or upset, Gabe used the experience as an opportunity to teach the children about responsibility and forgiveness. He sat down with them and had a heart-to-heart talk about the importance of owning up to mistakes and taking responsibility for one's actions. He also talked to them about the power of forgiveness and how it can help to heal even the most painful wounds. The children were moved by Gabe's compassion and forgiveness, and they promised to be more careful and responsible in the future. They also learned an important lesson about the power of forgiveness and how it can bring people closer together. In the end, Gabe's garden was restored to its former glory, and the children had gained a new understanding of their place in the world and their responsibility to care for the earth and all of its inhabitants. Chapter 7. The Promise to Protect the Planet. After their experiences in Gabe's garden, the children made a promise to protect the planet and all of its inhabitants. They knew that they had a responsibility to care for the earth and to help preserve its natural beauty and resources for future generations. The children started small by recycling, conserving energy and water, and supporting local farmers who used sustainable farming practices. They also shared what they had learned with their families and friends, spreading the message of conservation and responsibility. As they grew older, the children continued to make a difference in the world. Some became environmental scientists, while others worked to protect endangered species or promote sustainable living practices. But no matter what paths they took in life, they never forgot the lessons they had learned in Gabe's garden, and they remained committed to protecting the planet and all of its inhabitants. And whenever they needed a reminder of why they were doing what they were doing, they would think back to their time in the garden with Gabe the giant, and they would be filled with a sense of purpose and responsibility. For they knew that they were part of something bigger than themselves, something precious and fragile, and that they had a duty to protect it.